Started with the bolster back behind us. Just get the bolster right up behind you and then just lay up and over. The legs, I'm not too particular today. They can be long, they can be cross-legged, they can even be cobbler's pose already. So I'm not too particular. Just find a shape that feels helpful and open for the spine and for the legs together. And then here we're going to start with just simple breathing. All we have to do is follow a count. So we inhale, I'm going to count slowly to 4, and then we're going to pause at the top without inhaling or exhaling. Then we'll exhale for 4 and then pause for 4. So it's a full box that we're taking. So let's start with our inhale here. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4. Climbing up, inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4. We'll do one more round. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4. Now we're turning back to your normal breath. Feel the quality of balance between the inhale and the exhale. Inhales and exhales still equal in length. Beautiful flowing in, relaxed flowing out. So as this breath flows for a moment, we start to establish our intention, which is balance. Specifically balance between left and right, as well as balance between our upper body and our lower body. And we'll notice by going back and forth between these different parts of our body, it takes us more into our body. By being up high, we're with all those higher energies, the thoughts, the intentions, the dreams and hopes, all of this higher energy. And then when we drop back down into the lower energy, the legs, we're dropping into that space of presence, of simply living, of breathing, being right here, right now. And by going back and forth, we're able to find that perfect balance, that perfect mode that helps to take us out of our mind, into our body, into this present moment where all things are okay, all things are balanced, all things are present. So with balance to help lead us on, let's begin to move into the arms and shoulders. We're going to take a hold of each of our elbows right in front of our chest, and then start to drop the elbows up overhead. So continue to drop it as far as it'll comfortably go up overhead. Feel how this pulls the low back to a gentle stretch. You can even feel the abdominal muscles stretching out. So give that spot a couple of easy, good breaths. Inhales and exhales flowing gently. Feel that middle point. It's like the center of a teeter-totter. Without that center, there would be no ability to have fun, to let the edges swing up and down as they do. So be right there in the center for a moment, that balance point. And now we're going to use this grip of the elbows to move us into a shoulder stretch. Both elbows start to pull their way over to the right. By pulling the elbows to the right, you'll start to invite left shoulder into the stretch. So be conscious of the left shoulder pausing at an angle that helps to stretch it. So you might need to adjust by pushing the shoulder down away from here. And then you might need to adjust the exact angle your elbows are pointing at. If you find that good angle, just pause and breathe for a few rounds of breath. Well, let's focus for a moment on the upper body. Back in a gentle stretch, the shoulders starting to release. Just breathe for a moment. One more huge inhale. And exhale, the elbows rise up overhead. Pause for a moment in the center. A balance point between left and right. Feel yourself breathe. Feel that left shoulder kind of realign here. Good, and then start to invite the elbows over to the left. This pulls that right shoulder into the stretch. So again, maybe you're plugging the shoulder down, maybe you're pointing the elbows in just the right way. Keep on adjusting until you feel the right shoulder in a nice stretch for your body. Easy deep inhale. One more long exhale. That exhale completes. The elbows finish their way right back up top. While both shoulders to be connecting equally. Kind of like connecting horses or oxen together. And they're pulling equally. One's not doing more work than the other. So from here, as you release the grip of the elbows come like a football goalpost to each side. Let the elbows drop open toward the floor, probably not quite touching, but relaxing down with gravity. Feel how at this point, the heart is the center of this teeter-totter between the left and the right sides. So breathe into the heart space. Imagine the heart right at this moment is in perfect balance. And even if it doesn't feel like it, the emotions still feel crazy. Let the breath flow steadily. Imagine that breath passing through the heart space down to the abdomen and passing right back up to exhale. Imagine that's massaging the heart, helping it to release some of the anxious energy. So 3 more deep breaths like that. As you gently release the elbows off to the side, take a moment to rest the backs of the hands on the floor and just pause, relaxing, finding a moment of gentle ease, gentle stillness. So another good inhale passes in and out here, deep and slow. Start working Working our elbows underneath our shoulders, and then our hands to the floor, helping to press us up. From there, we'll rise up gently into a cobbler's pose, tilting forward. It might be nice to slide the bolster here in front of us. If you'd like that bolster, it can be used to settle into just a comfortable resting place. So it could be anywhere from bolster really tall, bolster medium, even just bolster on the floor in front of you, giving you something deep to reach forward onto. It's no pressure. It's only helping us to stretch to the extent that allows us to feel sensation. Nothing intense, but feeling a little bit more alive, connected now to the lower part of the body. And recognize too, you have the option to sit on bolster as well. That's a perfectly valid option. So imagine almost like an hourglass, by us having lifted the upper body away from the ground. The hourglass is now moving some of its energy down into this lower half of the body. Nothing to do, nothing to see. Just imagine that slow dripping, like a tick-tock, sand particle after sand particle releasing down with gravity into the leg space. Getting out of our brain, that sand represents connection with the earth, with groundedness. Just feel that heaviness of the sand dripping down. The legs resting just by being present right here. Just enjoy another slow, deep breath flowing through the body, nice and relaxed. And here we gently let the spine rise. The bolster returns to that space directly behind us. Have it long ways again. And now we're going to take a twist. That twist focuses on this middle part of the body. So once the bolster's there, both of your knees flip over to the right, to front door. You'll have the bolster up to the right hip. One hand plants on either side of bolster, twist the sternum down, and then bending the elbows lowers the sternum down. Rest the ear down that's more comfortable. So twists are effective because the lower body's doing one thing and the upper body's doing something else. In this case, the knees are trying to twist toward front door side of the room, while the torso and shoulders, you can imagine them trying to twist and pull toward the back door side of the room. And again, right there in the middle, right in the belly, is the center of the teeter-totter. The balance point. So just imagine sending breath right there into the center. And by breathing energy into the center, it helps to take us out of the head, even out of the body, and bring us right to the middle. The middle for me is a timeless space. If you have the hourglass, no matter which way you're turning it, flipping it right side up or upside down, time is moving. But if you're living right in the center, or maybe in this analogy, you tilt the hourglass on its side instead, there's timelessness. That's something magical that happens in some of the deep meditative states, is that time starts to disappear, which means that the anxieties of the future disappear. The depression of the past disappears. All there is this moment where everything is not too bad. This breath feels good, and we adjust our body so the body feels good. Just continue breathing. So we'll relax into that balance point here on this half, just a couple more breaths. Let the breath flow. So one more deep inhale. Nice exhale. Find your hands on the ground. Gently press your way up. We're going to flip our way over to the other side. So let the knees rise through the center, tilt over to the other direction. Same approach. One hand on each side. And bend the elbows back down. Find yourself resting. So this is a point, the first couple of breaths we're noticing, we might not have noticed previously, but here we definitely notice left and right sides are being stretched here. So in a way, we're balancing again left and right halves. The best part is it doesn't take effort, just that simple breathing. So again, imagine tilting the hourglass on its side. Try to see if you can melt into that timeless void right in the middle. Maybe you imagine it like a black hole, just this big, vast mystery right there in the center. Maybe you imagine it more like the relation of time, just this place where the past, the present, it's all together. Right at the same moment, right in the center. It's like time has turned itself into a circle that just loops around infinitely. Maybe that's how you imagine it, or maybe you imagine that center is something else. But try to return and be present right there in the center for a moment. if it feels like your mind or your body keep on pulling you out of the center, try to use the breath. Return to the box breathing, imagining that that's helping you to trace that center point. It's like the pause between the inhale and the exhale are that void that we're talking about. So one more deep full inhale. Easy, easy exhale. And the hands slide in, we press our way up, we face back forward. Find a comfortable seated position. So this could be just simple cross leg on the ground. You could bump your way up to sit on the bolster, whatever is more comfortable for you. And we're gonna move our way back into the upper body for a moment. So we'll take our elbows into eagle's arms, the right elbow underneath the left. We'll take a couple of breaths here to just move around in ways that help us get into this upper part of the body. So I'll give you suggestions, and if instead you prefer to kind of free form, that's fine. I'll slowly progress through the options. So if you stick with me, you'll hit on several different things. So up to you, no pressure either way. So the first option is rounding the upper back and then pushing the elbows forward. Taking a couple of easy breaths right here. Good. Slowly straightening the spine again. The spine is stacked. And we take a moment to just twist easy. Just for a moment to the right. Just for a moment to the left. Another time like that to each side. Right and left. Back forward, the shoulders press down, and the elbows start to float up. And then one more option here, rolling into the neck, the right ear drops to the right shoulder. Slowly roll chin down to chest. Left ear over left shoulder. And chin back down to chest. As you straighten the head back up, circle the arms all the way up to sky. Inhale. Exhale, hands touch like prayer position, trace down to the heart. Now left elbow under right. Same movements. So rounding the back, Push the elbows forward. Lengthen the spine all the way back up tall. Listen to the left, the right, left, right. Good, back forward, the shoulders press down, the elbows start to lift up. Then we drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Slowly roll chin to chest. Right ear over toward right shoulder. And make your way slowly back forward. And back to left ear over left. Good. Release the hands, circle up to sky. Inhale. Exhale, hands prayer position down through the center. Right there, the balance in the middle. So now keep the left foot tucked in, the right leg starts to open out. We're gonna take ourselves forward here. If you'd like to use bolster, that's fine. I'll let you play with spending some of your time forward or some of your time to the side, or just sticking with one. It's whatever feels really helpful for this lower body. So don't feel like you're stuck anywhere. Feel free to adjust bolster, feel free to adjust the exact angle. Just play with it to help you ease into this half of the lower body. One last breath on this half. Now let your torso lift as you switch out the legs. Into the second half, second leg. Play around with it. Again, just trying to stay present. few more breaths. Remember to breathe your way down, some of the energy down while we're focusing on this lower half of the body. Last good slow breath here. Nice inhale. Easy exhale. Gently return back up. So in a moment, we're going to get into both legs from an easy standing position, a standing forward fold, wide angle. But first, let's get into our back for a moment. So we're balancing out the spine. So we're going to place the bolster up toward the top of the mat. It's the same width as the mat. And then we're going to use that to help us take this to an easy sphinx pose. So the ribs are easily supported by the bolster. The head could be lifted, it could be dropped, just heavy down. And if you are not quite satisfied with the elbows being on the earth, you could always bump your elbows up to the bolster. Just make sure you're not cranking your spine into too much intensity. Whatever's happening with the neck, the shoulders are relaxed. Let the spine open like this for a few rounds of breath. Allow yourself to try to slowly count 3 rounds of the box breath. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. We'll all finish those rounds at different paces, so no rush. When you get finished with your 3rd round, that's when we're going to head to that wide angle forward fold. So let yourself gently, slowly come up to a standing position. You can step wide on your mat and just let your spine drop heavy. It's okay to slide in bolster if you'd like. Maybe your head is close enough that you can rest the bolster with your head onto it. Maybe the knees are significantly bent, just to make it more easy for your back to release down. There's no structure that's necessary here. It's just whatever's helpful. And the tiniest little sway left and right could feel nice. Just 3 more easy breaths here. Beautiful. So after that 3rd breath, slowly ease your way up. If we move the bolster, bring it back where it was toward the foot of the mat. And then we're going to sit on that facing forward. We'll be playing with a malasana pose, just a restorative easy version. The feet are out in front of us. They can absolutely be forward if that helps our back be more comfortable. They could slide in closer if it's easy. It doesn't feel like it's collapsing our hips back. Either way, imagine that spine trying to lengthen its way upward. The elbows push the knees, inviting us to get into the hips. We haven't included the hips in the party very much, so some of these last things will make sure to return us to that area. A couple of easy breaths. So balance being brought in the body by us having been upside down even, and now flipping back upright. Thinking that orientation with gravity is super helpful for the circulatory system. Hoping to bring balance to those little valves, like the door pushes one direction and then back to the other, preventing the backflow of blood in the muscles. Good. So one more deep inhale. Easy exhale. And as we release our elbows, we're going to leave our hips up on the bolster. You might have to play around with exactly where the hips are because we want them to stay on the bolster as we're heading backwards. So upper body is on the ground, hips are still on the bolster. Good. So from here, we're going to head into a bit of a back bend shape. This one's focused more on the lower body. So that brings balance to our body because some of our back bends were focused on upper body. So we do that by walking the feet any amount forward. All the way straight would be the deepest reach of that back arch. But for some people, that's a little too intense. So then the feet can be any amount slid forward from there as well. Even the throat area is being balanced out here by having itself folded in. We're able to allow some of the extra blood to pool into the thyroid area. Super helpful for that thyroid. Good. So the feet are going to slide their way back in closer on the floor. One knee at a time is going to come into the chest above us, so they're floating off the ground. And then we're going to extend legs up toward the sky. So we're going to play with either staying here in this restorative version of a shoulder stand, or we'll work our way any amount toward plow pose. So the variations of plow pose would be walking the hands up the shins, letting the hands support the weight of the legs tilting inward. Or to go a bit deeper, perhaps you hug around the thighs, inviting the legs a bit closer. Knees can be straight or bent, or even hugging into the wrists around the calves. So lots of options, no pressure any one direction, but feel how this pose brings balance to the body, not only from the back bend we just took, now moving into a forward fold, but also balance from us having been in the standing pose, now to the feet flipped around. Now the feet are the thing that's up high. Nice and restful. Easy stretch of balance for hamstrings. Left and right are equal here. Just a little bit longer. Keep those slow, easy breaths flowing. One more good inhale. And then with the exhale, both knees bend. We return one foot at a time to the floor. And we're going to start kind of crawling one shoulder at a time backwards to get ourselves back off the bolster, our back flat on the floor. Once you've got your hips on the floor, we're going to play with just a couple of final poses that bring us into that hip area. So leave the bolster as it is. That'll be our Shavasana today with the knees gently propped up like this. But for now, go ahead and let the knees come to a bench shape. The right knee is crossing really tightly over the left knee. From there, both thighs come into the chest, and each hand grabs onto the foot that flings off to that side. The legs just kind of splaying open left and right. So with that gentle grip, you can feel some of the deep tissues around the hips. So it's almost like it grabs onto the muscles that are just hugging their way around the hip to allow those muscles to stretch. So give it some easy breathing, easy time here. Feel how this upper body is helping the lower body now. Rather than working individually, now they're working in unison. So 3 more breaths here. Try to slow it down. After that third breath, the hands release. Keep the knees crossed over, so right knee is still over, but drop the left foot to floor, or rather onto the bolster for just a moment so we can bump the hips an inch to the right. And then from there, the knees are easy and free to fall over to the left. Arms can spread open. This is another good twist, letting the upper body and lower body try to pull away into different directions. Well, that balance point again, right there in the center, that point of timelessness. Tuning into that timelessness one more time will help us as we're Preparing for our Shavasana pose coming up here after we bring ourselves back into balance on the second side. Easy breaths right through the center, about 3 more cycles, deep and full. Good. As we start to uncross the legs, returning the feet onto the bolster, remember to recenter the hips before we move on. Then we'll have left thigh crossed over, thighs come into the chest, hug onto each ankle. One more chance to tune into hips. Feel how lower and upper body are supporting each other. Good, so start to release the hands. That right foot's on the bolster for just a moment, bumping hips to left, knees fall to the right, spread the arms open one more time. Last breath in, easy exhale. Remember, when your hips return to the ground, recenter them, and then just extend the legs over the bolster, knees gently propped up. Feel all those muscles that were being pulled away into that deep twist, and now just feel the opposite. This balance, just this simple release. Feel yourself supported by the earth from below and supported with fresh oxygen from above. That perfect balance, as above, so below, keeping us alive because of the balance. So try to tune into that void right in the center of your body, that timeless place. And see how much of this Shavasana experience can reside right there. Here we begin to deepen our inhales and our exhales. Introduce little movements back to the body. Fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out in ways that feel really good. Sometimes it's nice to take a fetal position off to one side. If you'd like to, go right ahead. Enjoying a few bonus breaths here as we're returning back to presence. Eventually coming up to a comfortable seated place when you're ready. Find the hands joining together right in the center. Finding that perfect balance between right and left, between up and down. And here we return to that balance, that theme, as above, so below. Finding ourselves like the teeter-totter, that perfect balance point, like the hourglass, that point right in the center, that timeless space. And with these ideas of balance to help lead us onward, we wrap up the time that we got to share together today with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.